Hello friends, today we will discuss the topic works and economic life. So let us start now. What is the work? Work primarily means those human activities that an individual or group gets into satisfy the basic need of existence, basic needs for existence. Now come to topic social organization of work. Social organization of work highlights the place in social structure. It's a relationship with other social institutions and groups. Technological aspects of work, demography of workforce, concept of social inequality and division of labor. Social organization of work in slave society, that means in ancient society, slave. What was slave? Free man losing political freedom once captured by other ruling class. Slave is treated as an economic commodity. According to Marx and Engels, slave society was the earliest form of class society. It is an extreme form of inequality in which some individuals are owned by others as their property. The slave owner has full control, including using violence over the slave. T. Hobhouse defined slave as a man whom law and custom regard as the property of another. In extreme case, he is wholly without rights. In slave society, the division of labor was limited in character, and the major division of labor was based on concept of free man and slave. Entire work was divided into following three dimensions. First dimension was dominated by artisans, craftsmen, ironsmiths, goldsmiths, cobblers, etc. used to employ slaves. The second dimension was organized under military masters for war and conquer new territory and expansion of empire and military dominance. The third dimension was organized on the basis of socio-religious line. Priests, nobles used to employ slaves for maintenance, construction, and perpetuation of monarchy and religious institutions. For example, slave labor was vital for construction of pyramid in Egypt, ancient Roman buildings, China's Great Wall, and many religious construction in India. Now, technology in slave society, it was dominated by animate source of energy and compound tools. Compound means basic, very basic tools. Use of animals for energy. Family ties in slave society. Slaves were permitted to live with their family. However, their entire family were bound by compulsory servitude. Religion in slave society. Religion used to sanctify the process of slavery, and manual work was associated with low status, whereas religion used to give high status to non-manual work. Concept of space and time in slave society. Work was used to be happened in family space only. Concept of place of work, factory, working space was yet to develop. Time was not a strict factor for organizing work. Quantification of work on the basis of time was not prevalent. Position of women in slave society. No freedom of choice for women. Wives of artisans and slaves used to follow the work of their husband. Involvement of women in work had no limitations. Women were involved in almost all professions. Dignity of work. No dignity of work for slaves, while master class enjoying the higher dignity based on the number of slaves employed. Consequences of work. High degree of alienation in slaves. Very low degree in craftsmen and artisans who could identify their work for themselves. Concept of market. Markets were transitory in character because work was family-based. Rarely markets were developed permanently in slave society. Artisans and craftsmen used to bring their products to weekly markets and again go back to their home once selling process was over. Now, social organization of work in feudal society. The term feudalism is derived from institution of fief, which was a piece of landed property. During the medieval period of European history, this form of property was given to a vassal by a lord in return for military service. The defining feature of the state or feudal system was that the position held in society depended entirely on the term of ownership of land. The evolution of the feudal system brought about the development of exchange of agricultural and manufactured products in regional market. People started using inanimate sources of energy via water and wind besides human labor. The crafts advanced further. New implements and machines were invented and oddments were improved. The labor of craftsperson was specialized, raising productivity considerably. Occupation based on organizations, guilds developed. Organization of official bureaucracy on the basis of work position developed first time in feudal society. However, this was based on kinship ties and ascriptive criteria. Nevertheless, these relations were more progressive than in slave society because they made the laborers interested to some extent in their labor. The peasants and the artisans could own the implements or small plots of the land. Power was handed down through the family line, with peasant families serving lords for generations and generation. In India, a feudal type of society started emerging during the Gupta period, which gradually got stabilized. Land grants were made by the Gupta emperors, their feudatories, and private individuals, which created a class of powerful intermediaries between the king and the masses. Further, the land grant became more common during post-Gupta period. So, land was the chief economic source of activity. Now, over the years, the term feudalism has also come to acquire a generic meaning and is frequently used to describe the pre-modern agrarian societies in other parts of the world as well. The distinctive feature of the agrarian class structure in feudalism is the relationship of dependency and patronage that exists between the cultivator and overlords. That means feudal lords. The cultivating peasants have to show a sense of loyalty and obligation towards their overlord. His sense of loyalty is expressed not only by paying a share of produce of land to the landlord, but very often the peasants are also obliged to work for overlord and perform certain duties without expecting any wages in return. Example, in Tehri Garhwal, district of Uttarakhand, a laborer usually belonging to an untouchable caste of domes and koltas borrows a small sum of money from the landowners in order to get married and subsequently becomes bonded to his land owner or moneylender. Role of religion. In the beginning of feudal stage, religion degraded the dignity of work. Religions were more positive towards other or outer-worldly asceticism rather than inner-worldly asceticism. However, toward the end of the feudal stage, new way of thinking developed in religion, Protestantism in Europe. Space and time in feudal society, work was still concentrated in family space, and although guilds developed, work was primarily done through the family labor and household production system. Time was still not a factor for quantification of work. Now, gender role in feudal society. Status of women deteriorated under feudal society because men started dominating the workspace more in social sphere. Women lost their usual status in case of work, equal status in the case of work opportunities. This created patriarchy, an unequal conjugal relationship inside the family. Since work was now concentrated in the hands of men, the rights of inheritance, property, and residence all inclined towards men. So, patriarchy developed during this time. Inequality became severe and complex in society. Works and occupation became symbol social status on the basis of descriptive criteria: birth, caste, race, religion, etc. Social stratification. The most complex form of caste system in India and manorial system in Europe developed during this time. According to Marx, this society was divided into two classes which came into existence because of the feudal mode of production, the lords and serfs. Meaning and dignity of work. Meaning of work lost its status for higher classes, whereas for guilds and artisans it was means of survival. As explained by Thorsten Veblen, a leisure class developed in the society which got engaged in conspicuous labor and conspicuous consumption. Consequences of work for individual and society. Alienation started evolving among the serfs, peasants, and lower strata in society. Socio-religious and political freedom was based on occupational status in society. Some forms of permanent market developed because guilds were able to supply continuous goods and services. Now, social organization of work in industrial or capitalist society. Mercantile capitalism. It was the early phase of capitalism, basically based on trade and commerce, like East India Company in India. Industrial capitalism, later phase, that means establishment of industries and emergence of new towns. Work got detached from family sphere. Guilds were replaced by factory system. Division of labor became highest. According to Emile Durkheim, society shifted from mechanical solidarity to organic solidarity. Because of technological innovation, new kind of opportunities and classes developed. Ralph Dahrendorf termed it as a decomposition of labor. Technology now makes machines an inanimate source of energy. Inanimate source of energy. Inequality highly diversified. Marx, two major classes, bourgeoisie and proletariat, developed according to Marx. Bureaucracy. Rational legal form of bureaucracy developed. Work became based on impersonal rules. Authority became more important in work. Role of religion. Work was detached from the sphere of religion. A person, caste, religion, race, etc. having no relationship with work under industrial production process. Concept of space and time. Quantification of work on the basis of time evolved under factory system. This divided individual sphere in two parts, professional life and private life. Specialized workplace called factories, shop floors, offices were created. This segregation of time and space between the private and public sphere also divided the behavioral pattern of individual in two ways, formal behavior and informal behavior. Role of gender. From initial phase of industrial societies, women were largely employed in industrial work. For example, Eric Hobson found that 63% workers in early industrial revolution in Britain were women. Conjugal relation started inclining towards equality. Meaning and dignity of work. Enhance work became considered more dignified act. Consequences of work for individual. Alienation grew more in industrial sector. Marx talked about 4 ways of alienation. Durkheim, high division of labor, that means organic solidarity. Individualism developed more. Human rights coming of labor union and achievement orientation gave more freedom to individuals. Social mobility, high social mobility. Migration very high from rural to urban. Translational migration also increased more. Translational from one nation to another. Giddens. What Giddens has said? Highly complex division of labor and high degree of specialization. UK census lists some 20,000 distinct jobs in British economic shift in location of work. Earlier, small scale artisanship from home. Now in factories, high economic interdependence from animate to inanimate power, Taylorism, Fordism and post-Fordism, collaborative work group, mass customization and global production, that means post-Fordism. We have to, that is Taylorism, Fordism and post-Fordism, collaborative work group, mass customization. You have to remember this term. What is Taylorism, what is Fordism, what is post-Fordism. Now, social organization of work in post-industrial society. Division of labor, high and more socialized in this society, and specializations can be seen in service and tertiary sector. New division of work on the basis of new ideas are coming up. For example, hairdressing, fashion designing, marriage planning, etc. Technology, inanimate technology and tools, inanimate source of energy. Inequality is shifting towards social inequality rather than social stratification. Society is shifting from class-based inequality toward the status-based inequality. Bureaucracy. Rigid bureaucracy is now getting replaced by adhocracy. Religion has completely withdrawn from the sphere of work. The work of individual is influencing more his religion rather than vice versa. Conventional morality in religion is now getting challenged. Segregation of work on the basis of time has changed. Convenient timing of work is now changed to fixing time on the basis of work demand. Now slogan is 24/7. Conjugal relations are more equal now. Status of women has tremendously increased. In case of service sector, women are dominating the workspace. Women's sexuality, freedom, dressing pattern, food habit, concept of beauty is now under challenge and changing. Consequences of work for society. Market is now becoming a concept rather than a place. Digital market, digital shopping, market and shopping have become an experience. Transnational corporations with manufacturing and services units and administrative staff spread throughout the world and controlling economy. It's all about. Thank you very much.